Week 4, here we come, and there's a lot to talk about for next episode of The Bachelorette, especially with it being the week that Blake gets introduced into the show. But if you look closely, something's not quite right with the timeline of his arrival, and perhaps Katie knew he was there much earlier than the show says. So let's take a look at the preview for week 4 and see what it has to offer, including any clues to who might be going home at the next rose ceremony. And as per usual, please no posting any blatant spoilers in the comments, but sleuthing and speculations are always encouraged. And if you want to watch the preview in full without interruption, I'll leave a link to that in the description below.
Ready? I'm so nervous. Love is pain.
Every day here is about stepping out of your comfort zone.
And right away we're getting a look at the group date for next episode. Remember that last Monday we ended yet another episode in the middle of a week instead of having that usual group date, one-on-one group date, then rose ceremony format. So we still have one more group date before we get to the third rose ceremony. And this is it. Looks like, for the day portion of the date, we're going to have our typical inflict pain on the dudes date that we've seen in seasons past. I have an idea of who gets the group date rose for this date based on some of the footage we've seen in the season preview before and we're going to see later on here. So I'll get into that after it shows up. For now, let's continue.
There's been a lot of drama regarding who's here for the right reason.
Thomas wants to be the Bachelor. He's willing to do anything to get to the top. I'm concerned. The dude is a terrible person.
Ah yes, the Thomas drama. And can I say I love this shot right here where it just slowly zooms in on Thomas looking at himself in the mirror? This is peak Bachelor editing. It makes him look so evil and self-absorbed just staring at himself, but in reality the guy is probably just getting ready for the day like we all do. Now, Thomas has not really done himself any favors with how he's approached talking with the other guys, or that I said I loved her, actually no I didn't business, so I'm not saying the Thomas villain edit is all smoke and mirrors, but like with a lot of this show, at least some of it is. And if he's truly just there for all the wrong reasons, at least he's being extremely upfront about it, but there's more Thomas stuff to discuss ahead, so let's move on.
They don't understand the way I feel when I look at you.
He may be manipulating Katie.
He knows exactly what he's doing.
He came here for a platform.
He came here for a platform. A soundbite that could be used for every single guy there. I know I repeat this a lot, but it's just a little rich for me to continuously hear, oh my gosh, he said he's thought about being the Bachelor, when you know everyone there has. But okay, in this bit of section, there's a bit of trickery going on. We see Thomas here walking out in a sort of salmonish jacket. Then him sitting down with Katie saying they don't understand the way that I feel when I look at you. And Katie is smiling, which sort of implies, uh-oh, maybe Katie's falling for Thomas's charm. But in reality, this isn't from next episode. This sit down is actually from episode 2 during the night portion of the Greatest Lover of All Time group date, where Thomas got the group date rose before all the red flag stuff came up and where Katie had a much more positive opinion of Thomas. But we'll see in this next section that now, things aren't looking so good for Thomas.
There's things being said about me. I don't care.
By the time she figures it out, it's gonna be too late.
She needs to know about this.
And here we finally get to see the full shot of Katie's "you say the things exactly as I want to hear them" moment, and it was Thomas the whole time. How dare you? Thomas?
You are an outfit repeater.
After all the things I've said defending you about being honest with the platform Bachelor stuff, you go ahead and repeat an outfit? That's the last straw. Send him home, Katie, and send him with a coupon to Men's Warehouse while you're at it, cause he needs to buy a new jacket. So, to remind you, one of the shots we saw in the season preview was this.
You say the things exactly as I want to hear them.
And with this, we explored a few theories as to who it could be. One even being Blake, as we see Katie in this same outfit meeting up with Blake in another shot. But mostly, this just screamed Thomas. However, shots of Thomas in the same jacket from a different night threw enough plausible deniability into the mix that maybe there was a small chance this could be someone else. And, you know, sometimes on this show, people borrow each other's clothing. That's pretty common. And we have to explore every possibility we can, no matter how unlikely it might seem. But in the end, the simplest explanation won out. This is Thomas, and he's just repeating an outfit or wearing something near identical to something that he wore before. And I think that this moment is from the rose ceremony after the group date that we never got to last episode. As for Thomas's chances of making it out of that rose ceremony, I think his days are numbered. But we'll go over eliminations, roses, and how it all might go down once the preview ends.
He doesn't deserve to be here.
Katie's not able to see the Thomas that we see.
He's still here.
Hey, don't yell at me.
Shut up, bro.
There's no way back from this.
I feel so defeated. This is Katie's journey.
And it looks like this whole Thomas business has thrown the night into chaos. But again, a few of the shots here are not all from the same night, because although Thomas has repeated his jacket and shirt, there's one detail that's different. Take a look at the pocket square Thomas is wearing in this shot, then switch over to this one. Yup, they're different. This gray one is actually from episode 2. The white one is from when he goes to see Katie, then here he takes it out. Probably to wipe off the sweat because this man is taking a lot of heat. But it does help us a lot to see that a shot like this, where Thomas is looking confident, is not actually from next episode. Now, all of this is leading me to a narrative on what I think is going to go down with Thomas next episode. But we're about to get to the end of the preview, so let's finish this thing off, then we'll go into all of that.
Someone from my past reached out to me, and he's here. This can't be real.
And we end the preview with Blake. Just as we speculated last preview breakdown, episode 4 felt like a natural landing spot for Blake's entrance, and they set it up here to hook us into watching next week. But there's also something interesting to spot in this section that indicates, although Blake is introduced in the next episode, he might have actually been there earlier than the show is implying. Take a look at this moment with Katie sitting down with Tayshia. Remember her outfit from anywhere? This is what she wore to the date hosted by Nick. So even though we're going to see this conversation go down next week, it had already happened the day of the group date we saw last episode. And Nick has also said on his Vile Files podcast that on that day he actually talked with Katie about Blake.
The first time I met with Katie, you know, a lot of things are filmed and not showed. So I talked to Katie. She had mentioned that Blake had showed up.
And it makes sense that Katie would want to talk to Nick about a former contestant showing up and coming into the house, as Nick experienced that. It also makes sense that Tayshia would introduce Blake as, technically, he's her ex, so she can give her blessing and things aren't awkward. Now, what does this mean? Why didn't they just include Blake last episode if that's actually when he showed up? Well, one, they might not have had the time to include all the Blake stuff during an episode where they didn't want to skip over everything Katie and the men shared during the group date. Plus, they also had to fit in all the Carl rose ceremony drama and set up Thomas as the new public enemy number 1. Then two, when production messes around with the timeline of events, it can also be to better support a narrative that they're trying to push. Perhaps showing Blake's arrival too early messes with some kind of story they're expecting to tell or protect. We're going to get a much better idea of how they want to present Blake in the next episode. But with the amount of footage we've seen of Blake already in the previews, like here with the say anything moment, here kissing Katie in the hay, here on a one-on-one, or here smooching in the dark, Blake looks to be a contender, so I think his edit is going to be positive. But alright. Let's now talk eliminations for next rose ceremony. Obviously, Connor B and Michael are safe, they have roses. But for a lot of the rest, we can go back to this group date with the black team versus the red team. We know that this isn't going to be the final group date before the next rose ceremony, so we'll be able to use this shot to break down who's for sure staying. Let's begin with the red team. In this first frame, we can see Aaron, Greg, Mike, and Connor B. Move a couple frames, and we can see Justin, though that's not really a surprise as we know he's got one-on-one footage still to come. Move a few more frames, and it appears as though Andrew M and Trey show up. Oh, and speaking of Trey, let's go back to this shot. This appears to be from the upcoming rose ceremony, as we can see Connor B sporting his group date rose from last episode. However, we also can see that this gentleman in a bow tie has another rose. And immediately, I thought, this is Trey. Trey loves a good bow tie, and we can see him on the date that's going to go down next episode. Not to mention, we can also see Greg, Andrew M, and Andrew S without a rose. and Connor C from that same date can be seen at this different point without a rose as well. So the options for who from this group date could be getting that date rose are extremely thin, and well, it's Trey. Trey's getting the group date rose. But back to our sports date. This time, let's take a look at the black team. Right off the bat, we can see Hunter and Brendan. Moving a few more frames, there's Courtney, John, and I believe this is Michael. And yes, I did look at this and go, wait, is that Thomas? But we get another angle of this moment in a different preview, and right here we can see that the guy with his head down next to John a little more clearly. That's Michael, who we also see on this date as the one who gets injured. Now, I've tried looking around the feet in this shot to see if there's any possibility this is Thomas and Michael is just hidden behind him, but I don't see anything. Oh, and we can also see James right here too. Also, I believe that whatever week this group date is on is the week that Blake gets this one-on-one date, which leaves a few men vulnerable to elimination. Those men are Connor C, the other Connor who gets no screen time, he's gone. David, very little screen time for him and no more preview footage, I'd say he's likely gone too. Christian is an interesting case. There's still some footage we haven't seen of him, like this bit where he says, "I think it's time she learns the truth."
I think it's about time she's learned the truth.
But this is actually what he was wearing on the Greatest Lover of All Time group date on episode 2. So I think Christian is vulnerable. And last but not least, there's Thomas. I think his time is up. Here's how it's going to go down as far as I see it. The guys have already shown they're not afraid of telling Katie as a group when someone's got to go, and we got this scene from last episode where they decided Thomas wasn't here for the right reasons. So things have kind of been set up for us. Now at some point, the guys are going to tell Katie that Thomas has bad intentions. Thomas will then go to see her to talk it out, and then at the rose ceremony, he won't get a rose. I feel like the writing is on the wall for Thomas at this point, and Katie has shown that she values the opinions of the group with sending home Cody and then sending home Carl, even though she said she was planning on keeping Carl before Mike interrupted the rose ceremony. Yes, Thomas did get off to a good start with her, but I think the guy drama, the red flags, and the non-answers he gave really have turned Katie off. Plus, outfit repeaters must go. Oh, and a bonus moment at the rose ceremony, Katie visiting Blake. Perhaps it's while he's quarantining, I don't know. Maybe he's gonna show up for the rose ceremony, maybe she had to think about whether or not she wants him to stay, and here she's saying yes. The details aren't really as important as how the edit is presented, because if it's a cute moment, we know that Blake perhaps is more of a contender than we originally thought, even amongst the top 4. And lastly, I know many people are wondering about Michael. How could Sweet Michael not get a hometown? Apart from there being little to no preview footage left of him, I think he's the person Katie's talking about when she says this.
Our time together was cut too short. All I want to do is just cry.
Perhaps this moment leads to an injury and he has to go home. Perhaps it's because of his son. Or perhaps it's for personal reasons. The details remain to be seen. But Katie's emotional reaction and the feeling of time being cut short aligns well with Michael in my mind. Plus, these two shots match up pretty well. Now, if you're one of those people who's in the camp of Michael for Bachelor, I'd say that all depends on how close to the ending this happens. If this is indeed what happens. If this is a moment that happens right before hometowns, Michael will have a shot. If not, we'll see, or maybe he'll just get scooped up in paradise. So that's it for this preview breakdown for week 4 and the introduction of Blake. I hope you enjoyed the video, and make sure to give it a like if you did. There's more content on the way as Katie's journey for love continues, so subscribe to the channel to keep up with that. And until next time, Bachelor Fantake, out.
You are an outfit repeater.
Maybe I'm an outfit repeater, but you're an outfit rememberer, which is just as pathetic.